إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Then to continue with Sharh-us-Sunnah of Imam al-Barbahaaree rahimahullah, with the explanation of Shaykh Saalih al-Fawzaan hafidhahullah. Then last time we had the initial supplication made by the author Imam al-Barbahaaree, where he said, Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana lil-Islam wa manna alayna bih wa akhrajana fi khayri ummah فنسأله التوفيق لما يحب ويرضى والحفظ مما يكره ويسخط. All praise is for Allah, who guided us to Islam and favoured us with it, and who brought us out within the best nation. So we ask Him for success in attaining that which He loves and is pleased with, and for preservation from that which He detests and which He is angry with. Then the Imam al-Barbahaaree rahimahullah, he continued on what occurs on page 55 of the Saudi edition, the Saudi 2-volume edition, page 37 of the Egyptian print, or page 13 of the newer Egyptian print. And it's numbered as point number 1 in the book. So from now on we'll just refer to the point numbers, and you can see whichever edition you have what point number it will be, inshallah. So in this edition it's point number 1, as we said, on page 55 of the Saudi edition. قال المؤلف رحمه الله اعلموا أن الإسلام هو السنة والسنة هي الإسلام ولا يقوم أحدهما إلا بالآخر. That the author rahimahullah said, know that Islam is the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is Islam, and one of them cannot be established without the other. Shaykh al-Fawzaan hafidhahullah, he said in his explanation, his saying i'lam, know, this is a word used to show ihtimam, to show importance. And the meaning of i'lam, know, is ta'allam, learn, come to know, learn. And how will you know that Islam is the Sunnah? If you learn, then you will know that. If you learn the reality, then you will come to know that Islam, as the author said, is indeed the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is Islam. So i'lam, know, is a word which is brought to show the importance of that which comes after it. Just as He, the Most High, said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ. Surah Muhammad, the 47th Surah, ayah 19. With the explanation, so know, fa'lam, so know that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and seek forgiveness for your sin. The Shaykh said, meaning, know the meaning of La ilaha illallah. Know the meaning of none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and act upon it. And the Shaykh gives us a second ayah as evidence. اعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب وأن الله غفور رحيم. Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th Surah, ayah 97, or rather ayah 98. The explanation, know that Allah is severe in punishing, and that Allah forgives extensively and shows mercy. So the word i'lam, know, a command in the singular. Or i'lamu, know, a command in the plural, occurs to show the importance of that which comes after it. He's saying, al-Islamu huwa as-Sunnah, wa as-Sunnatu hiya al-Islam. Islam is the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is Islam. Shaykh Fawzaan said, meaning, Islam is the tariqah, Islam is the way which the messengers alayhimus salatu wassalam came with. And every messenger came with Islam. So every prophet called to Allah and came with a sharia, with a revealed way from Allah. So that is Islam. So Islam is the worship of Allah, the mighty and majestic, alone, at every time, with that which He legislated. Islam has an overall definition that at every time, which applies to every time, that Islam is the worship of Allah, the mighty and majestic, alone, at every time, with what He legislated, with what was legislated at that particular time. And Allah legislated for the prophets ways and laws to last for appointed terms. Each of the prophets, each of the messengers, he legislated a certain sharia, a certain law, a certain way to last for an appointed time. Then He abrogated it. He brought some new law and abrogated the previous one. So when that was abrogated, then action came to be upon that which abrogated. That is Islam. So when any revealed law was abrogated, was replaced by a new one, then the new one which abrogated and replaced, that was Islam. Until all those revealed laws were abrogated by the revealed way sent to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah the Majestic and Most High says, لِكُلِّ أَجَلٍ كِتَابٍ يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ وَعِنْدَهُ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ. Surah Al-Ra'd, the 13th surah, ayahs 38 to 39. With the explanation, only people of tafsir, they have at least a couple of different explanations here, but amongst them is the explanation: there is an appointed time span for each book sent down by Allah. Allah abrogates and changes whatever He wishes, and He confirms. And the foundation of the book is with Him. Shaykh Fawzaan said, so Islam is that which the messengers came with regard to the call and the action at every time, with what was specific to it, until the sending of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came about. And then Islam is whatever He came with, to the exclusion of everything else. And after the sending of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then Islam is only what He came with, and nothing else. So therefore, whoever remains upon the previous religious ways and does not believe in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then he is not a Muslim. The Shaykh is indicating here what he mentioned before, that if someone were to say that I'm remaining upon a way which he claims to be a way of an earlier prophet, that this was Islam before, this will not be accepted from him. He cannot say, no, but I'm a Muslim now. He will not be. For Islam now, after the sending of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is only what he was sent with, nothing else. As the Shaykh said, whoever does not believe in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then he is not a Muslim. Since he has not yielded or submitted to Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, and he has not obeyed this Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because what he was upon has now ended and been abrogated, and remaining upon something abrogated, something replaced, is not a religion for Allah, the Mighty and Majestic. Rather, acting on what abrogates, what comes later and replaces, that is the deen, that is the religion. Just as a small side point here, then the Shaykh, noble Shaykh Saalih ibn Sa'ad as-Suhaimi, hafidhahullah, the teacher in al-Madinah, he used to be in charge of the department of Aqidah in Medina, he said, referring to this initial part of the explanation, or this initial part of al-Barbahaaree's book, he said, he, rahimahullah, began with the fact that the Sunnah and Islam are inseparable. And what is meant by the Sunnah here is the Sunnah with its general meaning, which is the tariqah, the way which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions were upon. So this is Islam, and Islam is the Sunnah in this sense. In the Sunnah referring to the way that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions were upon. The Sunnah in that sense. So Islam, that is Islam, and Islam is that. Back to the explanation of Shaykh Saalih al-Fawzaan, he said, his saying was Sunnatu hiya al-Islam, and the Sunnah is Islam. Shaykh al-Fawzaan said, there is no difference between these two. If we explain the Sunnah to mean the way, the tariqah, then there is no difference between it and Islam. In the way which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions are upon, if we explain the Sunnah meaning that, then that is Islam. That is Islam, and Islam is that. There's no difference between the two. His saying, وَلَا يَقُومُ أَحَدُهُمَا إِلَّا بِالْآخَرِ, and one of them will not be established without the other one. Shaykh al-Fawzaan said, Islam will not be established except through the Sunnah, and the Sunnah will not be established except through Islam. So the person who claims to be upon Islam but does not act upon the Sunnah, mean the way of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then he is not a Muslim. And the person who knows of the Sunnah but does not submit to Allah, then he is not a Muslim, even if he knows about the Sunnah. So it is essential to combine both of them. That's where Shaykh al-Fawzaan ends explanation of this sentence. And again, as another side point, then the noble Shaykh Ahmad ibn Yahya al-Najmi, rahimahullah, he said in his explanation, Saalih, on page 26, he said on this same point that Islam is the Sunnah and the Sunnah is Islam. And one of them will not be established without the other. Shaykh Ahmad al-Najmi, rahimahullah, he said, Islam is the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is Islam. How is that the case? Meaning, that true Islam is the Sunnah. So whoever is upright upon the Sunnah and establishes it, then he has established Islam. And whoever deviates away from it, away from the Sunnah, and inclines away towards the right or the left, then he has fallen short with regard to true Islam in accordance with his deviation. However, this inclining away is of two categories. Firstly, turning away totally, such that the person becomes a disbeliever, totally turns away from the Sunnah altogether, such that the person becomes a disbeliever, and judgment is passed about him that he has exited from Islam altogether. Then secondly is a partial turning away from the Sunnah, through which a person does not become a disbeliever, and he is not judged to be an apostate or to have left Islam. However, he has rendered his Islam deficient in accordance with the level of his deviation, whether it be a small amount, a small deviation, or a large one. And then the Shaykh mentions evidence for that, the hadith of the 73 sects. Then there comes the continuation of the main text, numbered as point number 2. قال المؤلف رحمه الله فمن السنة لزوم الجماعة فمن رغب غير الجماعة وفارقها فقد خلأ رفقة الإسلام من عنقه وكان ضالا مضلا. Imam al-Barbahaaree continued, the author rahimahullah, al-Barbahaaree rahimahullah continued, so from the Sunnah is adhering to the Jama'ah, and whoever desires other than the Jama'ah and departs from it, then he has thrown off the yoke of Islam from his neck, and he is astray, leading others astray. Shaykh al-Fawzaan hafidhahullah said in explanation, his saying, فَمِنَ السُّنَّةِ لُزُومُ الْجَمَاعَةِ, so from the Sunnah is adhering to the Jama'ah, the united body, as we will see, the united body of the Muslims upon the truth, the Jama'ah. Shaykh al-Hasan said, so from the Sunnah is adhering to the Jama'ah. He said, since that is the case, and since Islam is the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is Islam, then the Sunnah is of different types. فَمِنَ السُّنَّةِ لُزُومُ الْجَمَاعَةِ, so from the Sunnah is adhering to the Jama'ah, meaning adhering to the Jama'ah, the united body of the Muslims. And what is meant by the Jama'ah here is Jama'atul Muslimeen alladhina ala al-haq. What's meant by the Jama'ah here is the united body of the Muslims who are upon the truth. Again, as another side point here, then this is something which is authentically reported as a statement of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, that he explained, the noble companion Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu explained with the same meaning the Jama'ah, what is meant by the Jama'ah. So Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah mentioned in his notes to Mishkat al-Masabih, volume 1, page 61, the statement of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu in that regard, that he said, al-jama'atu ma wafaqa al-haqq wa in kunta wahdak. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, the Jama'ah is whatever conforms to the truth, even if you are alone. And Shaykh al-Albani said, this is reported by Ibn Asakir in his Tarikh Dimashq, volume 13, page 322, part number 2, with an authentic chain of narration, a sahih chain from him. authentic from Ibn Mas'ud, that he explained the Jama'ah, that it is مَا وَافَقَ الْحَقِّ وَإِن كُنْتَ وَحْدَكَ, whatever conforms to the truth, even if you're alone. Obviously many people think that for it to be the Jama'ah, it must have a lot of people. So if all you can see is a lot of people upon falsehood, a lot of Muslims who are upon falsehood, that must be the Jama'ah, because that's the majority. What the Shaykh al-Fawzaan is making here is that the Jama'ah is the united body of the Muslims who are upon the haqq, upon the truth. And likewise Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, the Jama'ah is whatever conforms to the truth, even if you're alone, even if you're only one. Then Shaykh al-Fawzaan hafidhullah continued, as for the Jama'at, there's another point that people must understand. They see these innovative groups and sects amongst the Muslims who call themselves, and each one calls itself, we are the Jama'ah of the Muslims that you must join and be with. So Shaykh al-Fawzaan deals with this point, and he says, as for the Jama'at, as for the Jama'ahs, the groups which are not upon the truth, then these are not called al-Jama'ah, the true Jama'ah. They're not called that. Every Jama'ah, every group which gathers upon dalala, misguidance, or upon a methodology contrary to Islam, or upon a way contrary to Islam, then it is not called the true Jama'ah, that which is required and praiseworthy. I mean, even if they themselves call themselves that, give themselves that name, but Islamically they are not called that. So the Jama'ah, the united body which is meant here, they are Ahlul Haqq, they are the people of the truth. And this does not necessitate that they must be numerous. Rather, even if it is a single person upon the truth, then he will be called Jama'ah, the united body, the Jama'ah. So the Jama'ah is those who are upon the truth, whether its people are few or whether they are many. So you adhere to whoever is upon the truth, and you do not contradict the Jama'ah which is upon the truth. Rather, you should be with them upon the truth. So whoever splits from the Jama'ah, the united body, then explanation of this will follow in the next section, the next part. And adhering to the Jama'ah means not departing from it and not conflicting with it. Again, as a side point here, before continuing, then again, Shaykh Saalih as-Suhaimi, hafidhahullah, he said on this point, the same point, he said he, obviously referring to the author, al-Barbahaaree, rahimahullah, he encouraged adherence to the Jama'ah. And the Jama'ah is al-Firaqatun Najiyah. It is the saved sect, as proven by his sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying in the hadith of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, when he mentioned the separation of the ummah, the splitting of the ummah, that it will split into 73 sects, all of them being in the fire. So they said, what is it? Asking about the saved sect. What is it, O Messenger of Allah? So he said, it is the al-Jama'ah. It is the Jama'ah. That's the evidence the Shaykh is bringing. But the Jama'ah is the saved sect. Because the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith, when he mentioned the ummah will split into 73 sects, all of them in the fire except for one, the saved one, when he was asked which one, and the response was given, it is the Jama'ah. Shaykh said this was the narration of Ibn Majah, and it is the most authentic of the narrations, and it is more authentic than the narration of at-Tirmidhi, man kana ala mithli ma ana alayhi al-yawm wa ashabi. In at-Tirmidhi's wording, when Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked which one is the saved one, he said, that which is upon the like of what I and my companions are upon today. So the first wording is more authentic, al-Jama'ah. Then the Shaykh makes a very important point. It's just with regard to authenticity, which is more authentic, that wording or this wording. He said the more authentic is the word Jama'ah. He said, even though there is no difference between the two sentences with regard to the meaning. The meaning of both is the same. That which I and my companions are upon today and the Jama'ah, both are the same thing. Both refer to the same thing in meaning. There is no difference between the two sentences. So each one of them emphasizes the other one. So the Jama'ah is, to mention it in brief, the companions and the Tabi'een and those who followed them upon good. Those who are upon that which the Prophet ﷺ was upon, and his companions. This is the most precise and the most excellent and the most comprehensive and all-inclusive definition that it is possible to give to the Jama'ah. I mean, those who are upon what the Prophet ﷺ was upon, and his companions, and those who followed them upon goodness. Then the Shaykh said, and there are some people who limit the Jama'ah to the time of the companions. They say the Jama'ah is just the companions in their time, just that. Or limit it to the time of the Khulafa al-Rashideen, the rightly guided Khulafa, or the like of that. The Shaykh said this is a restriction of something very wide, which Allah has made wide. Because Allah, the Exalted and Most High, says, وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. With the explanation, and the first and foremost ones from the Muhajirin and the Ansar, and those who follow them upon good, Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. The Shaykh said, so what is meant by the Jama'ah is whoever is upon the methodology in any time and in any city. It's not limited just to the time of the companions, that was the Jama'ah and that was the end of it. Or it's not limited just to the time of the Khulafa al-Rashideen, and that was the end of the Jama'ah, and now we have to look back at something that's finished. No, the Shaykh is making the point, as clear from that ayah, that something, whichever time, whoever is upon that methodology, in any time, or in any city, any time or in any city, whoever is upon the methodology which the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were upon, in their sayings and actions and creed and belief, i'tiqad, whoever is like that, then he is from the Jama'ah. And whoever separates from it, whoever splits from that, or isolates himself from it, then he has split from the Jama'ah. And there occurs a severe threat upon those who split from the Jama'ah, that he has isolated himself, and whoever isolates himself away will do so and be in the fire. And whoever separates from the Jama'ah by a handspan, then he has thrown off the yoke of Islam from his neck. Back to the explanation of Shaykh Saalih al-Fawzaan, hafidhahullah, he continued with the next sentence. He said, he's saying, فَمَنْ رَغِبَ غَيْرَ الْجَمَاعَةِ وَفَارَقَهَا فَقَدْ خَلَقَ رِبْقَةَ الْإِسْلَامِ مِنْ عُنُقِهِ. Whoever desires other than the Jama'ah and splits from it, then he has thrown off the yoke of Islam from his neck. In the yoke, as the Shaykh will explain, something that's put upon the neck of cattle and the like, so that they are submissive and they yield to the one who is in charge of them. He has thrown that off from his neck, the yoke of Islam from his neck. Shaykh al-Fawzaan said, this phrase here is the text of a hadith. Man faraq al-jama'ah qila shibrin faqad khala'a ribqat al-islami min unuqihi. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever separates from the Jama'ah by a handspan, by the amount of a handspan, then he has thrown off the yoke of Islam from his neck. In a footnote they mention this is reported by Imam Ahmad and at-Tirmidhi and Ibn Khuzaymah and Ibn Hibban and al-Hakim and others as a hadith of al-Harith al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, and it was declared to be sahih by at-Tirmidhi and Ibn Khuzaymah and Ibn Hibban and al-Hakim and others. And as an additional point, it was declared sahih likewise by Shaykh Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani rahimahullah. So the hadith, whoever separates from the Jama'ah by the amount of a handspan, then he has thrown off the yoke of Islam from his neck. Shaykh al-Fawzaan said, this is wa'idun shadid, a severe threat. So if the mufaraqah, if the splitting away is with regard to aqeedah, creed and belief, such that he comes to worship other than Allah, then this is kufr, this is disbelief. And if he splits from the jama'ah by doing worshipping other than Allah, then this is kufr, disbelief altogether. And if the splitting away is less than that, then it will be dalal, misguidance. So, splitting away from the jama'ah, there is no good in it. In either it will be splitting away to the extent of being kufr, disbelief, or at the very least, splitting away which will be dalala, misguidance. And there occurs in the hadith, alaykum bil jama'ah, fa inna yad Allahi ala al jama'ah. It occurs in the hadith, adhere to the jama'ah, for the hand of Allah is upon the jama'ah. In a footnote they mentioned this hadith is reported by Imam Ahmad and al-Humaydi and al-Tirmidhi and al-Nasa'i in his Sunnah al-Kubra, his major Sunnah, and Ibn Hibban and al-Hakim and others besides them from a hadith of Umar radiallahu anhu, with wordings which are close to each other. At-Tirmidhi said the hadith is Hasanun Sahih Gharib, good, authentic, singular, with this chain here. And it was declared Sahih, authentic by Ibn Hibban and al-Hakim and al-Dhahabi agreed. And likewise it was declared Sahih, authentic by Shaykh al-Albani. Then Shaykh al-Fawzaan continued, and when the Prophet ﷺ informed Hudhayfah ibn al-Yaman of the fitan, the trials and tribulations that would occur, and the splitting that was going to occur, Hudhayfah said to him, what do you command me with, if that reaches me? So he said, أن تلزم جماعة المسلمين وإمامهم, that you should adhere to the jama'ah of the Muslims. You should adhere to the united body of the Muslims upon the truth, and their ruler, their imam. In a footnote they mentioned this hadith is reported by al-Barbahaaree in his Sahih, hadith number 3411, and reported by Muslim as hadith 1847, as a hadith of Hudhayfah radiallahu anhu. Shaykh Fawzaan comments upon this narration and said, so the jama'ah will not be except by way of two matters. Firstly, the first matter by which the jama'ah is attained is that the person is upon the manhaj, the methodology, the way of the book and the sunnah. Its methodology is not the madhab, the way of so-and-so, nor the saying of so-and-so. Rather the book and the sunnah. The methodology of the jama'ah is the methodology of the book and the sunnah. It's not the madhab of such and such person, nor the statement of such and such person. Rather the book and the sunnah. And the second matter, which comprises the jama'ah, is that it has an imam, a ruler, a Muslim ruler, who leads it, and to whom it refers back. Shaykh said, it is not possible for a group, a jama'ah, to unite without an imam. There must be a ruler, an imam, for it to turn back to. And therefore he said to Hudhayfah, Talzam jama'at al-muslimin wa imamahum, adhere to the jama'ah of the Muslims and their ruler. So then he said, Hudhayfah radiallahu anhu, فَإِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُمْ جَمَاعَةٌ وَلَا إِمَامٌ, what if they do not have a united body, nor a ruler? Then he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, تَعْتَزِلُوا تِلْكَ الْفِرَقِ, then avoid all of those sects. Then avoid all of those sects. The Shaykh said, he ordered him to avoid all of the firaq, all of the sects. So he should not be except with the united body of the Muslims. And he should not be with the jama'at, the different jama'as, different groups, other than the jama'ah of the Muslims. Rather, he should remain alone upon the truth until death comes to him, while he remains upon that. Shaykh said, so this shows that a person should not be with the jama'at, with the groups which conflict with the true methodology. And they will not be the jama'ah except with two conditions. Even if they all claim that we are the jama'ah of the Muslims, you have to join us, be with us. He said they will not be the jama'ah of the Muslims except if they had two conditions. That their manhaj, their methodology, is the book and the sunnah, and the manhaj of Saalih, and the methodology, the way of the pious predecessors. And then secondly, that they have a Muslim ruler who leads them and they refer back to. So there will be no religion except with the jama'ah, united body of the Muslims, and there will be no jama'ah except with the ruler, imam. And there will be no ruler except with hearing and obeying. This is the methodology of the Muslims, and this is the sunnah which he, rahimahullah, explained. So this contains a prohibition of shurudh, of isolated and irregular opinions, and of conflicting acts. It contains a prohibition of that, people being upon isolated and irregular opinions, strange, irregular opinions, and conflicting acts. And that a person should adhere to the jama'ah, as long as they are not upon misguidance. So he's saying, خَلَأَ رِبْقَةَ الْإِسْلَامِ مِنْ عُنُقِهِ. Whoever splits from the jama'ah by handspan, then he has thrown off the yoke of Islam from his neck. Shaykh al-Fawzaan explains this phrase. He said, it used to be the custom of the Arabs that they would put a cord or a heavy rope upon the sheep, upon their necks, so that the sheep would not become separate and become lost and become eaten by the wolves. And these ropes would be connected by a single rope which joined them together to safeguard them. Each sheep would have a large rope put around its neck to hold it, and then it would have a connecting one, connecting it to all the rest of the flock of the sheep. This is called the ribqa. So the Prophet ﷺ likened adhering to the jama'ah to this matter. For the jama'ah is the rope which protects from those things which bring about destruction. So the rope which is upon the necks of the sheep protects them from the sheep, protects them from the wolf, and from being lost. So likewise the ribqa, the yoke of Islam. He said, he's saying, وَكَانَ ضَالًّا مُضِلًّا. Whoever separates from the jama'ah by a handspan, then he has thrown off this yoke of Islam from his neck. وَكَانَ ضَالًّا مُضِلًّا. And he is misguiding others. Shaykh Fawzan said, meaning, ضَالًّا, misguided himself away from the truth, from the path. Mudillan, misguiding other people. So he is misguided himself and misguiding other people who take him as an example and follow him. He, the Most High, said, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَأْتَبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. Surah An-Nisa, the 4th surah, ayah 115. For the explanation, and whoever contends with the messenger after the guidance has been made clear to him, and then he follows other than the way of the believers, then we will put him upon the path he has chosen and enter him into hellfire. And what an evil destination. Shaykh al-Fawzaan said, so what is obligatory upon the Muslim is to follow the path of the believers and not to be at variance with them, and not to isolate himself away from them. That's where we'll leave. What follows until next time, inshaAllah. What follows is وَالْأُسَاسَ الَّذِي تُبْنَى عَلَيْهِ الْجَمَاعَةِ هُمْ أَصْحَابُ مُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَرَحِمَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَجْمَعِينَ, to the end of what occurs. And the foundation which the Jama'ah is built upon, they are the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May Allah have mercy upon them all. They are the al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, to the end of the point. We'll continue with that next time, inshaAllah. Walhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala Muhammad. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Ah.